Folks involved in the GT. We have Jamal Hameedi here, who's Chief Engineer for Ford Performance. We also have Garen Nicoghosian, who's the lead on design for the GT. So, just want to tell you a little bit about this car. We saw some videos right here, the latest car innovation, what it is for the company. But I'll let these guys tell you about it. So, Jamal, if you have a few minutes, thanks so much.
Thanks, Paul. So this is the new Ford GT, obviously. This car is a fabulous car to look at, but it's got a much greater mission within Ford and Ford Performance. We like to consider cars like this as the technology testbed for all of Ford Motor Company. And if you think back to the 2005 Ford GT, that was our first aluminum car that we did. And now you see F-150s driving around on the highways built out of aluminum. So that should kind of give you an idea of the mission of what these cars are. They're beautiful, they're a very good business case for us, but they also offer our engineering community a chance to dabble their wares in new technology. And there's a lot of new technology on this car. One of the key technologies that we are really exploring on this car is obviously advanced aerodynamics. We call the center portion of the car the fuselage, so it's very much a tapered design. There's really no other production car out there like it, so it's quite groundbreaking in that sense. There's a lot of advanced aerodynamics under the car as well, including active aerodynamics. The rear wing pops up at speed for increased downforce. When you're braking, it'll go vertical, nearly vertical, to add drag and help braking and stability. And then at top speed, it'll lower again for reduced drag. So things like that really are very special parts of this car. The second thing that we're really exploring is lightweighting, and lightweighting, especially to a performance group, is extremely important. It's more important than power and torque, actually, because it helps handling and it helps performance. So this car is all carbon fiber, basically. It's got a structural carbon fiber tub. It's all of its body panels are carbon fiber. The brakes are carbon ceramic brakes. It's got two aluminum substructures in the front and the back. So really, we've gone further than we've ever gone with the Ford Motor Company for lightweight. And some of the things that you see here now are starting to trickle down on other vehicles. Like, for example, the yellow GT350 that you see over there has a carbon fiber composite grille reinforcement structure. So a lot of that technology is starting here and starting to trickle its way down into the Ford lineup. And the last thing is the EcoBoost engine, and this is the most powerful EcoBoost engine we've ever done. It's being tested right now on racetracks around the country. It just won the 24 Hours of Daytona in a Daytona prototype. See? So, mic switch, thanks. So we're really proud, but the great thing about an EcoBoost is that EcoBoost engines always go hunting engines larger than them. So starting with the 3-cylinder EcoBoost, they drive better than 4-cylinder engines, and the 4-cylinder engines drive better than the 6-cylinder. And so this 600 plus horsepower EcoBoost engine is going to go up against V8 turbocharged engines from Ferrari and McLaren and things like that. And so what a great story and to be able to tell that our EcoBoost V6 is comparable and who knows, maybe even better than some of those other V8 engines. So those are really the technical pillars of the car that are very important to us. But I can't stop taking my eyes off this car, and so I'll turn it over to Garen Nicoghosian, who's our design manager.
Thank you, Jamal. Thank you. It's the GT. How do you do a GT? The question is, how do you not ruin a GT? And that was one of the biggest challenges we had as the design team on this car. Because you're dealing with heritage, you're dealing with history, and pretty much the company's, one of the greatest periods of the company's history hinges on this very car in the past, the notion of where this car came from. However, we never forgot what the whole purpose for the car was, which Jamal so eloquently put together with all of the aspects of performance that we were chasing. It was about aerodynamics, it was about lightweighting, and it was definitely about the improved engine, all of which had their own contribution from a design perspective as well. So take the lightweighting, for example. We had the pleasure to use carbon fiber for this car. So the great thing about carbon fiber, outside of its structural integrity as well as the weight, is that it allows you to create shapes that are not that easy to do in steel. So if you take a look, or aluminum. So if you take a look at the bodywork on this car, there's a whole bunch of unique ways of handling surface, unique ways of dealing with volumes that cross over each other and parts that connect together that can only be done using carbon fiber. So we basically we took the ability of using carbon fiber and used it to our benefit to make sure that we can come up with these striking shapes on the car and come up with a set of surfaces that do what this thing does. The other pieces that were really influential were aerodynamics. 100% efficient. We're looking for something that truly functions in the tunnel. That we pay a lot of attention to airflow over, through, around, and under the car. And we use that to our advantage as well. Every opening has an outlet. Every feature has a reason. So those were things we celebrated instead of fight. As designers, we embraced the challenge of coming up with an elegant solution to having a hole in the side of the car, like you see here, and turning it into this really structural piece that's exciting to look at the same time. We've got a fuselage, like Jamal mentioned, and we've connected it with these buttresses, which do carry an aerodynamic as well as a mechanical function as well. So we have intercooler plumbing that runs through it. So there's a lot of tricks to this car, inside out, underneath, and everywhere. But at the end of the day, it still needed to look like a GT. And for that, you have to figure out what a GT is. Obviously, the GT is the legend. It's the 60s legend. It's the 2005 reincarnation, which was an amazing car. Yeah. Still is. One of the last true great analog sports cars of its day. But it does share a lot of common features with its ancestry, and so does ours. For example, if you break down the front end of the car, the way we've styled the radiator exits is very similar to how the original GT did. So the nostrils, as we like to call them, are very much similar in DNA and shape to the original GT. The headlights have a stack-up that's more horizontal than vertical, and the shape of the headlight evokes the cars of past. And those are just the details. If you get into the overall architecture of the surfacing of the car, you start with the front fender, and the way the front fender navigates its way back into the fuselage, that's a very familiar line. That's an accentuated line that defines the wheel arch, has a very pronounced peak on top of it, and it gracefully goes back. Same can be said about the rear quarter panels, the haunches of the car. They have a very muscular appearance compared to our competitors from other companies. They have a decidedly a more menacing and muscular look on this car. Another key feature for the design of the car was the brow. So that basically the design that you see here emulates the old GTs because we have a singular line that goes from that windshield header all the way around, and it turns, in our case, into the buttress. This is an iconic line on all GTs. Previous models, they used to stop and it was an event. For us, we've used it as an opportunity to string the entire side of the car together, considering there's really three elements, the main fuselage and each pod on the sides. The efficiency of this car and the design that came with it is not just limited to the aero pieces you're looking at, it's also even evident in the lighting. For example, the rear taillights have a hollow section in the middle. Those are actually exit vents for a portion of the air that comes off the intercoolers. In this case, the intercoolers are in front of the tires. So a portion of that hot air comes out the middle of the taillight. Speaking about the taillights, they're also a pretty iconic piece of the car in the sense that they're circular, much like the other GTs were, as are the exhaust pipes, which are centrally located and circular as well. That completes the DNA study. In a sense, we've now broken down all the pieces that make a GT, and you can see clearly that they exist in this car much like they did in its predecessors. Another striking feature of the car compared to its predecessors is the silhouette. If you were to put a cover over this car next to the old ones, you would see a very familiar way of following the eye off the center line of the car. And that's something that we consciously put in to make sure that the heritage comes through. But we did it in a very modern way to make sure that we don't leave anything on the table. And we didn't want to go retro with this design at all. It needed to be progressive, it needed to be aerodynamic and efficient and fast. And to be honest with you, it was Alan Cohen. It was one of those moments you're never going to forget. And as a design team, we're so proud to have been able to contribute to this car and contribute to the legend and take care of it for this generation and hopefully leave it in good hands for the future. Thank you.